Yep. It is what it is. I'm going to make this short and sweet. AFC Wimbledon have just not been very... they haven't been very creative. I mean, defensive shape, aside from the first 15, 20 minutes, where they gave away a couple of through balls to the likes of Tracy and to Smith, after the first 15 to 20 minutes defensively, they were decent. Their shape was okay. They didn't allow the likes of Tracy to get in behind. There was one instance in which he did beat his man, though, and was able to get a cross off that was blocked, I think, for a corner. But they were able to nullify Tracy for the most part throughout the game. They were able to nullify Smith for the most part throughout the game. Houlihan, there were a couple of moments in which he was nullified, but he did get a couple of balls, play a couple balls into the box. Defensively, we were okay. Chuka won some headers. Hennigan won some headers over Ironside. I think Ironside wasn't a huge factor in this game. He did receive a couple of hold-up plays and, played it to the likes of Smith, to Tracy, to Houlihan off the hold-up. Won one or two headers, but for the most part, he was defended pretty well by Chuka. Where the issue came today was the offensive end. Really couldn't create too many chances. That first half only saw one shot and one on target, and that one shot, one on target came from a very good header. Really good ball played in by Che Alexander with his left foot, top of the six. Jack Rodoni, who doesn't get enough credit in terms of aerial battles. He is one to win a header, half the time, on the final third. You always bet on him to at least contest for the header. That time he was able to leap over his defender. I don't know if it was Jones or Ocadina on the defense, but he was able to leap over his defender, nod it towards that far post, and force a diving save from Holy, however you pronounce it. Force a diving save. He palmed it out wide. Great save by Holy, to be fair. Good positioning. Not allowing himself. He was, right in the center of the goal. Shuffled, made the save. That was their only clear-cut chance in the half, though. There were moments in which they could have created some chances, but some of their passes were wayward, notably Anthony Hardigan with two or three, through balls over the top, too heavy. One of them intended for Ayuba Sal on that right-hand side, I think, but it was, 10 yards ahead of him. And another one was a through ball over the top intended for either McCormick. I think it was McCormick, but that one also went out for a goal kick. A little bit too heavy on that one. And then Alexander tried to play a through ball to McCormick that same half, but it was well defended by Jones, I think, who got in front of him and cleared it away. I think the deliveries weren't the best either. Like I said, Anthony Hardigan with a couple of errant passes here and then from the first half. And notably when Nesta Guinness-Walker came in as a substitute and he took, he beat two defenders, beat Digby, beat Williams on that left-hand side, drew the foul from Williams, and, Williams got a yellow card for that challenge that Nesta Guinness-Walker would have played into the box had he not gotten fouled. And, you would expect someone like Anthony Hardigan to whip a great ball into the box. Unfortunately, knee height, easily cleared away. Counterattack on the other end for Tracy. I think that counterattack ended up petering out in the end. But, yeah, the delivery wasn't there from Anthony Hardigan throughout the majority of that game. Che Alexander played, I think, maybe like 4 or 5 crosses. 2 or 3 of them were decent. The other 2 or 3 were about head height, easily cleared away. By the way, the second opportunity that I was mentioning beforehand came from open play. Initially, it came off of a set piece from Hardigan that was intended back post, I think, for Hennigan. And Hennigan, no, it was a different play, excuse me. The free kick that he took a couple minutes after the errant free kick where it was, knee height, he played it back post, a better ball this time, but Hennigan looped out and made the run a little bit too late. Smith won the header, and Hennigan collided heads with Smith and drew the foul there. Smith did. And then 5 minutes later, we saw a free kick that was cleared away, and then Woodyard on the return ball played a really good ball into Daniel Chuka around 12 yards out. Daniel Chuka got a flick, top of the 18, got a flick towards McCormick. McCormick on that back post tried to get his foot towards the ball, but just a little bit ahead of him, and he wasn't able to steer towards goal. Very unlucky there that he wasn't able to convert that. But other than those two chances that I mentioned, the first half with Rodoni with the header and the second chance with McCormick on that back post, not able to get on the end of it, that was it. That was really it from AFC Wimbledon. And if you look at the stats, they're very deceiving. They have 7 shots and 3 on target. But most of their shots were straight at the keeper. Actually, another decent chance came off of a cross from Nesta Guinness-Walker after he took his man on 1v1. Williams, he did a very good job on the offensive side ever since coming in. Put a cross in over the top from about 6 yards out relative to the touchline just outside the 18. He put the cross in. Rodoni tried to get the header in. It was a good contested header by Masterson. So he didn't get a touch on the ball, but he contested the header, put Rodoni off, and the header went straight to the keeper. So that was, I guess, a third decent opportunity. But other than that, it really didn't really see much there. AFC Wimbledon in terms of chance creation. Aaron Presley was poor. Aaron Presley won a couple headers, but he went down to ground like 4 or 5 times. You would expect someone like Aaron Presley, whose main role is a target man and a hold-up man. There were a lot of times he tried to lean back against his defender on the hold-up, and then he just goes to ground. A tiny little tug from the defender, not enough for it to be a foul. Tiny little tug, and he goes to ground. Aaron Presley, needless to say, poor. Didn't really contribute in terms of chance creation. Won a couple headers, like I said. But ever since Ollie Palmer came on, obviously Ollie Palmer coming off of injury for about a month and a half. Ever since Ollie Palmer came on, it was a completely different story. Cambridge United, they scored from a chance from James Weir. It was a bit of an unlucky one from AFC Wimbledon because initially Chuka won the header, bounced off of someone's shoulder, and the win was in Cambridge's favor. Bounced off someone's shoulder, went straight to the 6, and then Hennigan tried to head it off the bounce. But obviously, if you make a header off the bounce, ball's not going to travel very far. And then James Weir was able to take a touch and steer towards goal. It was a header over Zanev on that one after the initial clearance from Hennigan. But ever since Ollie Palmer came on, like I said, it's just been it was a completely different story. Ollie Palmer, he was dynamic. He won a couple headers initially, and then he was knocking around McCormick very well. There was one instance in which he was holding it up to McCormick, played McCormick. McCormick played it back one time to Palmer. Palmer took one touch on the hold-up, played it back to McCormick on the overlap, and then McCormick won the throw-in after he tried to play it into the box. And then another instance, Palmer tried to take on the defender himself. He took on Williams and then tried to play a cross down the 6 and won the corner there. So, it was a completely different story as soon as Ollie Palmer came on. I said this before, I'm going to say it again. Ollie Palmer is a vital piece to this side. Without Ollie Palmer, we look lost. There's that. Hopefully he'll start next game, and hopefully he will be our starter going forward. And also, you know what? I haven't given Cambridge enough credit in this video so far. I think they played fairly well. I think they were one step ahead of AFC, at least one step ahead of AFC Wimbledon throughout the first 80 minutes or so. Last 10 minutes was just essentially them inviting pressure. And incrementally throughout the game, Cambridge got better and better and better. In the first 15 minutes, they played very good possession, and they played it out wide to Tracy a lot, at times to Houlihan, but they weren't able to break through the back line as Hennigan and Chuka were able to win a couple headers after a couple crosses came in from either Smith or Tracy or Houlihan. To be fair, Cambridge possessed well, and they were able to get around the patented high press of AFC Wimbledon. We saw teams crumble in the past under that pressure. We saw Lincoln City give away the ball, several times. We saw Burton Albion give away the ball several times. Cambridge barely gave it away throughout that first half, and really, the second half they gave it away a couple more times, notably with off-the-ball pressure from Henry Lawrence, dispossessed them a couple times. Woodyard dispossessed them a couple times. I'm surprised that Asal didn't really feast off of those interceptions or dispossessions too much. You usually expect him to do it, but he wasn't as influential in that department today, as well as overall. He really wasn't that much of a factor. Drew a couple fouls, but really didn't break the bank, if you will. Jack Rodoni was very solid today. I think he won several headers. I think he was very good in terms of on the ball. He every now and again he would take his man on 1v1, but then he would lay it off square to somebody, Won several headers, though. Won that header that almost ended up in the back of the net in the first half. Won a couple of knockdown headers to keep the play alive. Big win for them. That is going to bump them up to, I think, 15th or 14th in the table. I think 15th. Essentially, they switched spots. AFC Wimbledon are now in 17th. Cambridge are now in 15th with that win. As for AFC Wimbledon, disappointing. They weren't nearly as potent as they could have been. And that just goes to show how their season is going. You know, good at a good one game. The next game, they kind of fall off. They're inconsistent. So, all right, here's that section of the video where I'm going to bring it back. I did this with the game against Shrewsbury, but I haven't done it since. I want to do it more often, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to have this section of the video where I read a couple comments off on Twitter. First of all, Tim Lloyd went unbeaten for a long spell at the end of the season to stay up. As soon as we changed and played 2 up top, might sound crazy, but might be worth considering that again. Perhaps. I think Aaron Presley, you know, while we've given him some stick and while he has been kind of poor at times, I honestly think he plays better with somebody else supporting him at that striker position. And I think, you know, having him play alongside Oli Palmer, or maybe Palmer playing alongside Depo Mabude, which is what I suggested in the AFC Wimbledon previous preseason video, could work out. Honestly, it could work out. I think that, you know, if we have one up top, we play it too direct at times. And, you know, while we don't play it nearly as direct as we did 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, where we were just hooping the ball at field all the time, I think that, you know, we could be doing more on the ball. And when we try to possess sometimes and we play it around 15, 20 passes, in the end, we don't find that final pass. We end up playing direct anyway. We play a cross in to the top of the box. Why not have that 2 up front and just have the strikers knock it amongst each other and have an attacking mid to lay it off to if necessary, like an Ethan Chislett, or Luke McCormick can play an attacking mid alongside, you know, the 2 up top. You know, that unfortunately we'd have to axe either a Sal or Redoni, I guess, unless we play them 2 as outside mids, perhaps, on a diamond formation. But I think a 2 could work. Mike L, towards the end, that's no use, is it? Poor concentration again after the break. It's okay, though. Leave a striker on the bench when we need a goal. Ridiculous decision. Plenty of hearts for that one. Honestly, I don't think it was a terrible decision to have Oli Palmer come off the bench just for this one game, though, because, you know, he's coming off of an injury. But I think what he's referring to is taking Presley off for Palmer, you know, switching striker for striker. And while it worked short term because, you know, Oli Palmer was more dynamic and overall more influential, maybe could have switched to a 2 up top and have Presley play alongside Palmer. That goes hand in hand with the comment that Lloyd made. I'm personally in favor of trying out a 2 up front. I've said that throughout the season, actually, that, you know, 2 up front could work, especially with someone like Depo Mabude coming off as a sub for maybe Presley. And if Presley were to start, I think he should start alongside someone else up top. You know, we haven't tried that 2 up front since the start of last season. Or I think we played it once today, or this season against Bolton, perhaps, I believe. It is what it is, I guess. I'll just leave it off at that, honestly. I do have somewhere to be, so I'm going to try to edit this really quickly. But that being said, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one.